Being alone and focusing on yourself is so underrated. Like, it's literally terrifying to be alone. Did you guys know that there is a room that is so quiet, like literally so quiet? People, just after a few seconds, will go insane because they can hear their heart beating and blood moving through their veins. And being alone is hard, really hard, which is why the value in it is underrated. Let me explain. If you're not already obsessed with human design, let me explain to you why people are becoming so entrenched in this system. I'll also explain why learning your human design makes being alone so much easier. This system is based off of neutrinos, specifically which neutrinos are active during the time of your birth and 88 days before your birth. Up until the 90s, they literally called this the ghost particle. It has no electrical charge and it carries a tiny amount of mass, but it has the ability to move through things, which is fundamentally different than light, which bounces off of stuff. The founding of this system made the prediction almost 10 years before modern science actually measured the first neutrino. Now, one of the ways that you can use your body graph to go from loneliness, having trouble being alone, always wanting to be around people, distract yourself from yourself, to loving aloneness, loving your solitude, has to do with the polarity of these centers. Now, my body graph is pretty rare. Most people's body graph looks something like this. They're going to have some defined centers and some undefined centers. Essentially, you can look at it like this. These are speakers where you're supposed to consistently put out your own energy. These white centers are the microphones. These are what are picking stuff up. One of the reasons why it's so hard for people to be alone is because they have a bunch of other people's thoughts and ideas and problems in their head. They have a bunch of other people's competitions and comparisons and egos floating around in their heart, and these make so much clatter and so much noise that they distract from these centers, which are often undersaturated, underhydrated, underutilized. The minute you start to learn how to distinguish, when am I trying to prove myself? When am I trying to convince others that I'm certain? Where am I making other people's problems my problem? And you start paying attention to your creative life force, your own emotional wave, the pressure that you feel to move forward, your health and your spleen, your voice and the tone of your voice and your manifestation. Once you start to actually access the parts of yourself that you were born to have regular access to, and you stop getting upset to the fact that you don't have access to certain areas consistently all the time like other people do, what you're essentially doing is you're putting the measuring stick that other people use to measure their own self-worth, you put that down. This is going to help you move from comparing yourself to other people to simply contrasting yourself. Instead of being different, to be differentiated. Instead of being an outcast, to be specialized. And instead of being lonely, to be alone for a little bit. Because most of us are conditioned, and that's what we call that when you have other people's stuff in your undefined centers, or your defined centers are suppressed or bypassed or outsourced. We call that conditioning. That's your survival mechanism. And in order to thrive, which is above survival, like all your needs are met and you actually get to do the things you want, whereas survival is just like, I just need my needs met, which is not a bad place to be. It's just, if you want to actually want some things and not need things, you have to get above this. You have to be able to spend time alone. And it's very, very challenging to spend time alone when all these other people's stuff are louder than your own stuff. If you're interested in this and you want to know more, let me know in the comments. If you want to work with me one-on-one, I do that. And if you want a report that will just like detail all, like, what does this mean? What does that mean? What does that mean? You can get one on my website for 27 bucks.